Hi there. Here we're going to look at problem 2, where we're given two angles and a side measurement, and ultimately we are going to construct a triangle with those measurements. In particular, we need to take the angle with measure M, we need to take the angle with measure N, and we need to take the side with length A, and we need to use those components to form a triangle. And we're told specifically to start at the segment with length A and use our tools, compass and straight edge, to make the other parts of the triangle. So let's get started on that. Okay, I'm going to wheel out my compass, and we would like to make a copy of angle M on one of the sides of the segment that we're given. I'm just going to be using my copy and angle technique. Make an arc here, similar arc here. We'll go back and measure the span of this angle. And I'm going to copy that span down here. And the whole point of doing that is when I connect through this point, I should have an angle that matches M degrees. So I'll use my straight line tool to make that. And again, if I've done that correctly, then this angle here should have measure M. Okay, in order to avoid any distractions with this next step, I've just cleared out everything except for the final ray. Next, I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of the angle with measure N. So I'll make my arc here. I'll repeat that arc here. And we'll measure the span of this red arc and set our compass to that. Okay, and we'll repeat that span down here, knowing that that will help us to copy this angle. Okay, I'll take my straight line tool and connect the points. Alright, and you can see that if I extend this out far enough, it'll hit this green ray in a particular location. And we've now formed a triangle. So between these 3 points, we should have a triangle. Let me see if I can quickly make that into a shape. Okay, and we'll just give that a little bit of color. If I can do that. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, in any case, we formed a triangle according to the directions that we were given. And just to summarize with that, we have M degrees, we have a side length of A, and we have a second angle which matches this angle right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue and see what the next part of this problem is asking, which would be part B. Okay, so as we look at part B, I just cleaned up our diagram, leaving the triangle that we created. And let's see what we're supposed to do here. The directions say to explain whether these measurements, the angles and the included side, could those measurements be used in a way that produces a different triangle other than the one that you see here. Okay, and what you can do is imagine that 100 people were to perform this task. They're given the same angle measurements and the same side measurement. Is it possible that two different people within that group would come up with something different? Or would they all have to come up with shapes that are all congruent to each other? Well, let's see what we can learn. As we study this example, we see that the angle, side, and angle measurements are given to us as being certain things. And so we have an angle, side, angle situation. And we know, according to the ASA criterion, we could say the ASA criterion tells us there is only one shape with these measurements. Okay, and I'll just emphasize there's only one shape. With these particular side angle measurements, you can only get one shape, and so the answer is no. It would be impossible to come up with a triangle that's different from the one we created above. The only possibility is that we get maybe a little different orientation. Maybe a different student would do it down here, but those are the same by a reflection. Or maybe someone put the angle M on this side, and now we'd see this shape. But again, that student's shape would be congruent by a rotation or some rigid motion. So regardless of the orientation of the figure, it's guaranteed that all the shapes would all be congruent to each other, which is what the ASA criterion says. Okay, I hope you find this helpful. See you next time.